Kevin Winton with Digital LA. We are very excited to be celebrating Ultraman all the time with the release of the new Marvel comic and game coming out. We are super excited to have another guest speaker who has been part of the Ultraman legend. He is a legend himself. He is Marty. He is the father of the modern action figure. His company is responsible for making a ton of action figures. I'll stop talking about it, and Marty will let you talk about it yourself. So, Marty, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in action figures?
That's an interesting point. My father had this tiny little company that came out of college with to work for. And I knew right away that we needed brands. And to build a brand took millions of dollars in terms of marketing, in terms of television, in terms of promotion. So the fastest way for me to get into branding and product development was through licensing. And we were the first company that licensed Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and the whole Warner DC group of characters. But in that context of time, no one else was doing it. So it was really easy simultaneously to get all of Marvel. So I had both Marvel, Spider-Man, Hulk, and all their characters, Black Panther, Iron Man, as well as simultaneously having all the Warners. Well, because of that, it was just a slam dunk video over the Paramount, and they got Star Trek. That was the fourth leg of the stool. Then obviously, Fox came and said, how about doing Planet of the Apes? So we wound up doing Planet of the Apes as well. Then my relationship was very strong in the international market, so we turned around and hooked up with a company called Takara, and we got the rights to Microman. Now, Microman became Micronauts, which was subsequently sold to Hasbro. So you get a sense of that we had virtually 80% of the male action business during the 70s. Every major brand we wound up carrying, whether it be the Dukes of Hazzard, it could be Henry Winkler when he was Fonzie, but every studio came to us for all the brands. And because we were the first ones to doing it, that's how I got the moniker. And it's been a fun ride ever since.
Amazing. So you were able to get the Marvel and the DC licenses. That's pretty remarkable.
Well, it's not remarkable. No one had it. It wasn't like, oh, I was going to bid against anybody. I got it for zero advances. All they wanted someone was to go out and put the product out and pay them a royalty.
Right.
What happened was I did that because of all so many characters, we immediately had a collector's business. And we had, between the two brands, we had 15, 18 different characters. And so we were just, from coming out of the chute, it was extraordinary for both, all the three companies. For Warner's, because they had no licensing income. For Marvel, because they had no licensing income. And for me, because it gave me a platform to do all the business at that time.
Right. So, so if people don't know about Marty, any action figure that you've had was probably one of his from back in the day, whether it's one of these superhero characters or Star Trek licensed characters, right?
Well, yeah, certainly during the 70s. You know, once you get past the 70s, we sort of evaporated. We had a little brand called Star Wars that came out while we were at the peak of our business, and we went from 80% of the marketplace down to 20% of the marketplace. They just ate our lunch, and so we sailed off into the sunset. But even in that period of time, we were pretty remarkable for that 10-year run.
Right. So you actually helped start the whole collectible movement, because by creating these multiple 15 to 18 characters for each license, like that got people to be like, oh, I need all of these characters. Like that kind of started the collectible movement, right?
Well, I would say that is the case. Really, the only other major brand during that period of time was G.I. Joe. You know, there was a brand here or a brand there, but none of them had any sustaining longevity in terms of sales. We had so many of them across the board. I mean, Star Trek today is still a huge brand worldwide, and we have got back into Star Trek full tilt, and we have delivering this Christmas 8 different characters in Star Trek, and probably close to 14 to 15 next year. So and then we have a whole range of Warner characters up to including Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman. And so, you know, the whole way it gets collectible is you got to have multiple characters. You can't have a single character. For example, $6 Million Man was a huge success at that period of time. It was a single character, and it ran for 2 years and then disappeared.
Right. So when you're creating a character, how many different versions of the character do you have? I guess it depends on the popularity of the character. For example, you have Spider-Man in different outfits, or?
Well, we had different sizes. We had sizes as small as 3 3/4 inches, 8-inch characters. We had 12-inch characters. We had them in a stretch, like Stretch Armstrong. Our character would stretch.
Oh, that's right.
We had them in bendables and bendies. I mean, it was multiple sizes, multiple materials across the board. In those days, we couldn't stray too much from the look of the character because that's what the kids were buying, that look. Today, the looks are all over the place. They're driven by movies. They're driven by graphic novels. They're driven by television shows. And so you can change the looks in the field. In those days, it was basically a single character with a single look.
Right. And can you tell us about your newest line that's at Target?
Well, our newest lines, I just gave you some of the brands. And then we have a whole bunch of brands like in horror, which has been a big area for us. Everything from Frankenstein and Dracula, from what do you call it? The guy from the Mask. We have Freddy Krueger. I'm sorry, Hannibal Lecter, Leatherface. I mean, it just goes on and on in terms of characters. We have over 120 different characters coming out this year.
Wow. And Target is, of course, great distribution because there are Targets everywhere, and that's just like...
Our biggest and strongest retailer today is Walmart.
That's right. Walmart and Target are both huge. It used to be you had to go to a toy store that was open some hours and try to get these characters. But now, like Walmart and Target, those are just
what they've done
huge distribution.
What they've done specifically for the collectible business is they created an entertainment section separate away from the toy department. And so you have a whole different range of collectibles, everything across the board from the action figures to the individual ideas and thoughts, just for the collectible side of it. Funko's got a whole range of stuff in that area as well.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at all the products and designs, it's an older audience. You're not talking about the 5 to 8 year old. We're now talking about the 14 to the 40-year-old, and in some cases 50 and 60, where they go out and they buy it.
Right. So it's definitely not just for kids anymore. It's for adults, and you can tell from going to comic conventions like San Diego Comic-Con that there are lines that line up for collectible figures from multiple companies that start like even a couple of days before. So one thing that's been definitely increasing is female fans and females who want to collect woman action figures, as well as males too. Can you tell us about increase in action figures based on female characters?
Well, as I said to you before, we do have Wonder Woman, we have Supergirl, we have Batgirl, in those ranges. The women today, although they are collecting the female side, they really want the boys in terms of their collectability, because that's their heritage as well. They just started to get into like the movies we just saw with Captain America, with Star Wars, female leads. They just started to emerge. That will be probably in the next generation of the collectibles, where the girls are going to come in and want to go out and do that. So they want to go and stay with what they're comfortable with, what they know, and the characters that they grew up on. And those audiences, by the way, when we go back into the 70s, 80s, and 90s, on the superhero type character audiences, they were only 30-35% girls. It wasn't 90-10 or 95-5. It was a good 35% of that audience was female. And so they have now, a portion of them have now grown up, and they want to collect their characters they were comfortable with.
Right. Excellent. Can you tell us about your Ultraman character?
Let me talk a little bit about Ultraman, because Ultraman is really exciting for us. Interestingly enough, we never marketed Ultraman through the Mego brand. Ultraman was marketed through Poppy, which is a Japanese company. Mego back in the 70s had the largest action figure factory at that time in the world. So we were making product not just for the Mego branding, because we want to make action figures, but for companies all over the world. For example, Palitoy in the UK, we're making their Doctor Who, which is the brand that has stood the test of time. And because we had all the tools and the molds and the sewing capacity, we knew how to make them. We make them reasonably well and very inexpensively. The major companies in different marketplaces would then come to us for their local brands. Ultraman being one of them, Poppy being the manufacturer. We sold Poppy directly from our factory to the Japanese market. They then turned around. I mean, they were using, for all intents and purposes, the Mego body, and we just changed the sculpting of the head. And of course, the costumes changed just like we did with all the superhero characters as well.
Right. And how about do you have any new releases for Ultraman?
Well, that is coming now. As a matter of fact, what I want to show you is the first sculpt of the new Ultraman character.
All right. Very cool.
We're sending literally to Hong Kong tonight. And so you get a sense of what it looks like.
Everyone, you get an exclusive right there.
Right?
Very cool.
Having said that, the buys are already being made, the costumes are already being made. The sculpting is done. Now we have to make the mold for the face, and we'll be shipping this in approximately August 25th.
August 25th. All right, well, mark that date to go check that out. So when you're creating the face mold or the body mold, how much feedback or collaboration do you have with the brand?
Well, that's what we do, and one of the reasons everybody likes working with us is the bodies are consistent. It doesn't make a difference. It's Ultraman or it's Batman. It doesn't make a difference. It's Ultraman or it's Superman. It could be Ultraman red, Ultraman blue. The bodies from the neck down, the arms, the legs, the torso, the knees, the ankles, all the same. That allows us to make the product inexpensively and quality-wise. What we do is now we just change the head, which I just showed you. That's unique to it. And then the rest is what we call cut and sew, which is making the garments. And the garments are what they are, and we just cut and sew. So the quality on every piece virtually is the same. It's all top shelf, top gear, and all we really have to worry about, quite candidly, is the quality of the costuming, not the head, because the head is a rotational mold. And that falls out of the tool perfectly every single time. It's just we're going to make sure that every piece of the clothing is perfect. That's our so-called chicken soup, as we turn around.
Right, that's the magic sauce. So the bodies are all consistent, but that allows you to focus and spend more time on the clothing and the head sculptures to make sure those are accurate, and also makes it so it's less expensive overall because you don't need to create a new body each time because the bodies are pretty standard. So awesome. What are you most excited about with all this new excitement about Ultraman returning with the Marvel comic release and the game?
Well, they're in the second season with Netflix, number one. So there's a brand building for a new audience, which is that to us is exciting.
Right.
But the most exciting for me is we're the first ones to come out and actually do Ultraman. It's not like there could be 25 different versions of Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. It's been selling continually now for the last 50, 60 years. Ultraman hasn't been on the marketplace in 20, 25 years. So when this thing comes out, it's going to be fresh, it's going to be new. The demand is going to be, should be incredible for it. And that's really what our exciting part is. We have all these ideas for taking that brand and expanding it for 2021 and 2022 and 23, because all the different characters of Ultraman we can create, and then all the different monsters. So the line has got a big opportunity to really grow.
Let's talk about the kaiju. Which kaiju are you doing?
I'm sorry?
The kaiju, the monsters from Ultraman. Are you doing those
We're
as
not
well?
doing them yet. We're not doing them yet, just so we have a sense of our aspect. we've got to establish the first character, then we have to establish the second character. Then we will pick, obviously, the monsters. Now,
Are there any other? Are there any other supporting characters other than Ultraman, or Ultraman is going to be the first one, and then see how it does, and then add more?
No, Ultraman, it comes in different colors. So we will establish the first, the second, and third in the branding side, because we need to get into the collection part of it immediately. So we can't do it with a single character. So we will have the 3 characters over the next 6 months, and then once that's established, then we widen the brand.
All right, this is a great intro. How to do a collectible series. You can't have just one because that's not collectible. So what are the 3 that people should be getting?
Well, we're doing the blue, we're doing the red, okay, and we're doing the green.
All right, blue, red, and green, Ultraman first. Okay, excellent. And those are coming out this fall, you said?
First one's coming out, literally it'll be on the shelves for Christmas. The second one comes out for January 2021, and the third one comes out for Easter.
Great. Oftentimes when you're creating action figures, it's like a big reveal when you show an action figure to the person that like represents or plays them or draws them in a comic book. Do you have any stories about showing a actor, a character that's based on them, or a comic book illustrator, a character that you did that's based on their drawings?
We don't have those experiences based upon what is on the market today. I go back to the 70s where we had some of those experiences.
Yeah, sure.
Where we turned around and had a show. We did to give you a perfect example, we did the Cher doll. When Sonny and Cher was on television.
For Cher, like Sonny and Cher. Okay, yeah.
Like Sonny and Cher, where she was the hottest commodity in the world, right, bar none. And by the way, one of the loveliest, nicest people you ever want to meet.
Yeah, okay.
Having said that, when you try to capture the look of an individual person,
right,
and that sculpt, for it to come out, and they see it for the first time, it's never quite their vision of themselves. And so we brought the first one to her, and she said, well, here's what I want you to do. You have to resculpt this and resculpt that. And so I said to my team, well, we're going to have an issue here. So rather than go back to resculpt, what we'll do is we'll take the same sculpt, but we'll just change the painting.
Right.
Because we have what they call painting masks and how you pull these all together. So we went back the second time, and she said, well, you're getting closer. And I said, okay. And we did. On the 5th time, it finally passed. It was the original sculpt, but all different painting masks.
Right. With Ultraman, what was your basis for the sculpt?
Well, that was easy. That was a straight copy. We wanted to get and make sure it looked exactly like the original one, and that's
right.
That was our foundation.
So you just got the original and then made it. Awesome. Great. And if people want to find out more information about you or Ultraman, how can they follow on Instagram or Mego, or where should they follow you?
They go to megofigures.com. They'll follow us there. They can go to the Mego Museum, which is we have a digital museum in all the Mego figures from the past as well as the present. I mean, there are thousands of them there with pricing from the collectible market. You can go to Instagram as well. So we're easy to find. And as a matter of fact, get anybody out there that wants to become a Mego ambassador, which is like the inside scoop, you can go to megofigures.com and become a Mego ambassador. And then what happens is you get all the inside information. We talk to these guys on a pretty regular basis. We then turn around and then they know when the stuff is coming, the new stuff is coming, and how it's coming. And quite candidly, we take some of their ideas and we work on those ideas to bring out new characters.
Oh, that's so cool! You're working with fans and the ambassadors to help influence potentially new characters or new figures. That's amazing. I do digital A. I love the fact that you have the digital museum, the Mego Museum. So in that museum, you have digital like photos or characters.
Well, you got characters, you got photos, you got product, you got pricing, you got information across the board. the Mego Museum was the bridge between the launch of Mego the relaunch of Mego 2 years ago, and the last 15, 17 years, where you had a whole range of people coming to the Mego and wanted to know about Mego because they either collected it, they had it. People were making what they call Mego-like knockoffs of different characters. And so that was the bridge that got us and motivated us to come out and relaunch the company.
Gotcha. So we can go back and see any older action figures from the 70s or before. Those are going to be like in there, right?
Absolutely. Do we have the here, can I see the Ultraman?
So we can relive our childhood by going online to the Mego Museum, looking at these action figures. Oh wow, it's amazing.
This was the original Ultraman.
Oh, cool.
Ultraman Joe, which we did, I guess, around 1977, 79. So, so you get a sense of, this is the type of stuff you would see in the Mego Museum.
That's super cool. I love his red outfit. That's very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, telling us about Ultraman, how you got into action figures yourself to become the father of action figures, Ultraman from the past and the other characters you did, and a little bit about the Mego Museum and how to be an ambassador. So again, thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to add? Or
No, it was really nice meeting you guys, and Ultraman Friday. That's what it's all about.
Hey, let's go.
Ultraman Friday.
All right, cool. Thanks very much.
You guys take care. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you. Bye.